venture group, and I'm the CEO here at the Philadelphia Film Society.
I'm Lerman, I'm the artistic director of the Philadelphia Film Society. Welcome to the opening night of the Philadelphia Film Festival.
We are super excited you're here with us tonight in our newly renovated Philadelphia Film Society Center. I hope you guys have enjoyed your night so far. It's going to get even better, we promise. We do need to lead with some thank yous. I thank our board, because I haven't seen a board presence this large in a film yet either. So thank you all for coming out. I want to thank our sponsors, all of which are on our website, in our guide. They'll be on the screen, but we can't do this without their support. We also can't do this without your support, so thank you guys. We had a tremendous film festival last year, highest attendance ever, and we're going to break that this year. So we can't,
And that's all of you. That's all of you.
It's all of you, and we really are stunned. So thank you guys for doing that. And it's also our largest program ever, and I'm going to let Mike talk a little about that.
Just real quick, I want to thank our incredible programming team. They've been really, really amazing. Can we get a round of applause for them? Without them, we would not have what we have here. So I also want to remind you guys that this year we partnered with Superyaki, incredible company to do the merch. They're selling in the lobby, but they'll also be selling in the lounge all week until we run out of stuff. So please come get it as soon as possible. I won't talk too much else. Everyone here I know is going to see 5 movies a day for the next 10 days. I don't need to say anything else than that. But tonight marks the 3rd film in an incredible trilogy of movies. Do we have Knives Out fans in the audience? We've been lucky enough to show all 3 films. We've been lucky enough to have a visit from the brilliant writer-director. And I just feel so blessed every time he comes back and graces us with a new movie that is smarter, deeper, more emotionally resonant, and incredible mystery, funnier. I can go on and on, but you guys are about to see. So I'm going to bring to the stage right now the mad genius, Rian Johnson.
What's up, Philly? Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Andy, and thank you guys so much for being here. I feel Mike is one of my dearest friends, and I feel really privileged that he's invited us back with all of these movies. I love this town. I'm so excited to show you guys this movie, and so I'm going to talk really quickly so that we can get started. It's what should I set up about this movie? It's okay.
What do you want them to know beforehand?
Nothing. Enjoy the film, guys.
I'd like to welcome back to the stage Rian Johnson. So let's start here. At the beginning of this process, you had made 2 of these. Where did Catholicism enter?
Well, it was around 1 AD. Strap in. Let's go through this whole thing. And also, once again, Mike, thank you for having us, and guys, thank you for coming tonight and just watching. I just came in and watched the last part of it with you guys, and it was so much fun just watching the movie with you a little bit. So thank you for being an amazing audience. After kind of coming out of Glass Onion, which was such a big, kind of broad, comedic movie, and I had a blast making and really, really proud of it, but kind of coming out of that, I really wanted to ground the next one. I know I wanted to kind of bring it tonally back down to earth, and I also, I wanted to make it about faith and about religion, just because that's something that's very, very personal to me, and so I thought that would challenge myself to kind of dig into it a bit more. And I didn't grow up Catholic. I grew up very Christian, though. I grew up Protestant, kind of evangelical. And when I was a teenager and into my early 20s, it wasn't just that my family took me to church all the time. I had a very personal faith, and I really framed the whole world through my relationship with Christ. It was something that was very, very personal and important to me. And I'm not a believer anymore, and I'm kind of drifted away from that in my 20s. But as anyone who has had that will tell you, it never really leaves you, and it's something I have a lot. I was also in the church at a time when, like, I was a kid in the 80s when, Reagan era, sort of the melding of politics and religion was kind of happening. And so, anyway, I have a lot of complex feelings about it. So the idea of seeing, can we get these into one of these movies and still have it be one of these movies and have it be a fun murder mystery and a fun ride, can it sustain that, was something that seemed like an interesting challenge.
Speaking of personal, I want to talk about your relationship with your composer. Your cousin, Nathan Johnson, does such incredible work in this movie. At what point do you bring him in? At what point does he start doing the work on that?
Yeah, Nathan and I have been making movies together since we were 10 years old. He's my cousin. We've been, he scored all my movies except for Star Wars. We let this kid, John Williams. And so Nathan and I obviously have a really tight relationship. Nathan has been on set for all of these movies, and he likes to be there and kind of soak up the vibe on set and start composing very, very early. So yeah, he's part of the process from the beginning. I was telling you at dinner about how Nathan and I, like, when we were kids, because we would just on family vacations make movies together, and the only soundtrack CD that we had to score our movies with was the soundtrack to Hook. Which is a great soundtrack. It's in the air. Yeah. Give it up for Hook. Yes, come on. So when I worked with John Williams at the end of it, I asked him, I was like, I'm nervous to do this, but I went ahead and asked him. I asked him to sign two things. I asked him to sign my Long Goodbye poster. And I asked him to sign an LP of Hook that I gave to Nathan as a thank you for putting him out of work for a few years.
Look, you're obviously a master of words and a master of complexity in these stories. I knew you were going to do that when I started this. But the thing that always resonates to me when I see the movie is the simplicity of this line towards the end, where she says you're really good at this. And it carries so much emotional weight of this big complex movie. And without an incredible actor like Glenn Close who can bring the gravitas to it, it could fall flat. Did you always have her in mind for this? Is this kind of a,
I didn't have her in mind. It's funny though, like, Glenn's performance of that always, like, always makes me really, really emotional. That does lead me to think though a little bit about, because in talking about, like, writing these movies, a lot of times the talk goes to the puzzle aspect of it, and I get asked, do you start at the ending, like who did it? Right. Do you start at the beginning and figure out who did it? And the truth is, and this is, I'm just saying that segueing into this because it's a good example of it,
yeah.
You start with anything, the same thing you'd start with any other movie, which is the journey of the protagonist, who in this case is Judd. And so I think the reason that line, as delivered so beautifully, I think, by Glenn at the end, but the reason I think it emotionally connects and feels like a simple thing is because it's answering the very first thing that Judd says in the movie, which is, all I want to do is show broken people like me the forgiveness and love of Christ. Yeah. And so I think writing-wise, I love endings, and the truth is, the trick to the ending is a good beginning, but it's also illustrative in these movies of what actually always makes them tick, which is, it's never going to be the mystery, it's never going to be clue gathering and whodunit and surprising anyone. It's always going to be the same basic things that make you care about any other movie, which is the protagonist, what do they want, why can't they get it, and then how do they or not at the end. And Glenn Close is also a national treasure. And was so excited to be there. And it inspired everybody on set. And I remember one day, we wrapped her, like she was wrapped, like she could go home. And then I had one more scene to shoot with Daniel and Josh, and I was blocking the scene with them. It was in that little attic room. it was just the three of us blocking it, and I was kind of like backing up, and I bumped into somebody, and I turn around, and there's Glenn in her street clothes, just kind of tucked back in the corner. And she goes, "I'm sorry," and she just hung out because she wanted to see these two work, and she wanted to see how they did it. She loves making movies, and to have had the career she has and done all the things she has and still have that childlike enjoyment of the process, I mean, it's beautiful, man. She's an amazing person.
She's the real deal. I think she's gonna go places.
This is going to give her a big boost. This is going to put her on the map, I think.
That should give her an Oscar.
Hard to agree.
I'm gonna open it up to questions, but I'd be remiss because there's so many great performances in this movie.
Don't be remiss.
But I'd be remiss to not mention the character actor of the season, who happens to be doing a cameo in the police station we talked about.
So my friend Dan Sheridan, who's a writer, he's it's hilarious because I was going to say he's not an actor. He is an actor, but he's a writer. He's just a buddy of mine, and he's also a buddy of Paul Thomas Anderson's. And so Paul and I are like the two people who have started putting Dan in our movies. And so Dan's credits include Licorice Pizza.
One battle after another.
One battle after another. He's the guy on the phone with Rio who won't give him the passport. Which is hilarious to me because it's just Dan.
That's him looking through the.
Yeah, he's the dude in the video thing looking through the footage. That's Dan. So now you'll never not be able to see Dan Sheridan.
And a little Easter egg. Your company produces another movie. He's got a great cameo for next year.
Yeah, he started. Yeah, he's getting a big fucking head about it now.
All right, I'll open it up to questions. Anybody have something? We'll start right here.
I love your set design. I was curious as to whether the pulpit was made for this movie or you found it, and if you have any comments about some of the set as a character, especially in the Kane's house.
So the question was the pulpit made for this movie, or did you find it? And do you have anything to say about the set as a character, especially Nate's house?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Rick Heinrich, who is our production designer, who I worked with on The Last Jedi and also did Glass Onion, he did tremendous work. The church, the interior of the church is the most amazing, it's a set, and it's the most amazing set I've ever been on. And which is also how we could do all those dramatic lighting changes. That was all kind of designed and constructed on stage. The ambo, which is the pulpit, that is completely designed and built by us, and it's like a Moby Dick reference, basically. But everything about the idea was in that inside the church, trying to just reflect what the pale that Wix was bringing to it. So all the angels being warlike and having these swords and just the stark, but then there's also practical things like the starkness of the main intimacy. Now I'm not Catholic. It's gone out of my head. The main area where the murder happens. The starkness of that is to increase the impression of the impossibility of it. That there's nowhere to really hide. The reality there would be a bunch of different flowers and dressings and stuff up there, different chairs, and just having it perfectly white and stark so that it's very clear. There's nowhere for this to have happened in this stark ground. So it was all designed. But yeah, Rick did some really beautiful work.
Back there in the center of the back center. Yeah.
So just warming up the references. Was the hollow Jesus statue reference to how it lost? There's that part where they find I think it's like Mary statues full of drugs or something.
The question was the hollow Jesus statue a lost reference?
No, it was a conversation reference. It was a reference to one of my favorite films, Gene Hackman at the end of the conversation, breaking open the Virgin Mary statue that he has. But now I want to rewatch Lost.
Right here.
So this trilogy is about nice people, and you picked Ana de Armas, Janet Monet, and Josh O'Connor to play these really kind-hearted people. What drove you to pick these actors?
So the question is, the comment was that this trilogy in some ways is about nice people. They're very kind people, the three protagonists of these movies. What drew you to pick Ana de Armas and Janelle Monáe and Josh O'Connor?
Yeah, that's the anchoring thing of all three of these movies, and so finding actors who can bring a complex performance, but who also are immediately going to earn the audience's empathy right off the bat. Is all three of these movies, that's essential to them ticking. And I've just have been so lucky with the three actors, with Anna, Janelle, and now Josh O'Connor is just, I mean, also the sweetest dude in the universe, like kind of weirdly nice. Really? Oh, screw him. He's also, go see The Mastermind, the Kelly Reichardt film. She's one of our best American directors working today, and it's such a great movie. But yeah, Josh O'Connor, I can't say enough about. I just feel like that guy can do anything, and makes it look effortless. But just the fact that in that first scene, you're immediately with that character, I think, or I always am when I watch it, so yeah.
The punch. Right here in the center in the split row? Yeah.
So, obvious reasons, I really resonated with Kaylee's Spade's character and sort of the challenge that churches often have with people with disabilities because we present a theological problem because they want to cure it. And I sort of come in and out of Christianity in very much a similar way to you. So I was just wondering, what was your sort of impetus in writing that character?
So the question was about people. What was your impetus to write the Kelly Spade character?
Yeah, I mean, my personal connection with that was about coming to faith through, in her case, very specifically with what she was dealing with. It was about pain for her, and so coming to faith through a physical need to want to relieve that, and then the notion of something bigger than you that can relieve that. But also, it's more reflective for me of even like just the deeper, trying to communicate to somebody who, what's the best way to communicate to an audience, which is going to have people in it who have never been in a faith, what it feels like for any reason to have that deep a fundamental need for that faith and that desire for what that gives you. And I think Kaylee did, it's a beautiful performance in it, but that was the essence of it for me, is trying to get, for myself, that was my connection to it.
Over here on the aisle.
Congrats, first off. A few years ago, we were last on the end, and I asked you about the physical media links for that movie and Knives Out and now this. So I wanted to see if there was any update.
So the question was, is there a physical media release for this or Glass Onion? Is there any update?
I don't have an update, but I can tell you it's something that's really important to me and that I am working on. My wife and I have, because my wife, Karina Longworth, is a film historian, and she has I feel like especially over the past 5-10 years, we've really hit what I think a lot of people in the world have realized is that you own nothing on streaming, and it's so ephemeral. And so we've gotten to a phase where even if we discover something on streaming or on TCM or whatever, and we love a movie, I'll just find a place and I'll just buy a disc of it. So we've started collecting physical media. I think it's so important. It also, I mean, we have a lot of deleted scenes with these movies, and the notion of having someplace where they can live. Anyway, there's no updates, but it's something that is very important to me, and that I'm working on.
Donna?
Okay. You mentioned you grew up Protestant, so I'm wondering why tell the story through Catholicism rather than Protestantism or evangelicalism.
So the question was, since you grew up Protestant, why tell the story through Catholicism rather than being Protestant or evangelicalism?
I mean, part of it is that the churches I grew up going to all kind of look like malls. I'd shoot myself in the face if I have to shoot in a mega church. And beyond and beyond that, here you left your jacket.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought you guys were saying this is a good answer.
She's going to Walter.
Sorry, man. But also, I mean, the movie is very much about storytelling, and the reality is the Catholic Church is second to none in terms of the theatrics. I mean, come on, it looks awesome. And also because the reality is for me, it is so much about evangelical Protestant Christianity, specifically in this present moment. It gave me a little bit of distance to be able to speak directly to my experience of it, I thought, putting in the Catholic Church, so that was kind of good.
Back here in the black and white on the last row, yeah.
So I noticed in the light, a lot of times when a character has a moment of faith, they typically light brighten up. But I noticed in this film, it tended to dim when Father Judd had moments of clarity in his own beliefs and his own purpose. Was that on purpose, and if so, why?
So the question was about the lighting dimming when Father Judd had clarity of belief versus brightening.
Well, just in general, I mentioned it before, like, I was very aware early on that a lot of the movie was going to take place in interior spaces and wanting to feel the outside universe permeate these spaces. I was a kid in Colorado where it's one of those, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes places. And so the experience of being in a room and the sun going behind a cloud in the room, how dramatically the room changes and the vibe in the room changes, is something I think we all experience in real life a lot, and you rarely see it. So I wanted to do that. In terms of the specific writing of the scenes, we play it kind of both ways. I feel like a shift in either direction, as long as it's dramatic enough, kind of heightens the moment. In the scene with Louise on the phone with Bridget Everett, the great actress who's on the phone with them, that's one where it's bright at the beginning of the scene, and then as it gets to the end, it gets dimmer and dimmer. And that, for me, was tonally kind of simplifying. Like the brightness has a feeling of inspiration, and it's exciting, and we're solving this mystery, and it's a game, and then it gets somber, and it kind of brings it back down, and kind of makes you focus in just on Judd's face for that moment. It isolates him. So it was kind of figured out moment to moment throughout it. But yeah, the idea of making it very theatrical was something that was on my mind.
Right here in the center. Yeah, you and then right behind you. We'll do one then two.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, sorry.
Sorry, I usually would say color of clothing, but I can't see anything.
Black and white.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of your work, and I'm so proud to be able to watch this. I know you referenced Jeremy Renner's hot sauce and glass onion, and I was wondering how you went with casting Jeremy in the third movie, and if that was a plan.
So the question was about having the Jeremy Renner hot sauce in the second movie and then casting Jeremy in the third movie. Which is the thing I laugh at every time Jeremy comes on screen in this movie. Never talk about it.
Yeah, it was, I kind of like got really excited just about Jeremy being in this movie in this part, and then realized, oh wait, oh shit. So, but then I thought, fuck it, and I figured the best way to do it would just be to jam the car in gear and not acknowledge it. Also, I like the idea that Dr. Nat is a big Jeremy Renner fan. He has that hot sauce in his kitchen.
And then behind you.
So I'm just curious as to how kind of the backstage was for each of these different movies, especially with different casts, different environments, different sets, sort of what that was like.
So the question was about the environment backstage with all these massive casts, and was it different on different movies, etc. I know there are different environments too, where you shot them. So.
It has been, but it's a really good question. The first movie, we shot largely in this big mansion just outside of Boston, and the mansion, it was almost accidental. The mansion had a basement with like a proper rec room in it, with like a foosball table, and in the trailers were kind of far away, so the whole cast, in between takes, would all go downstairs and sit around in this rec room, and they ended up just bonding down there, and it became this kind of magical thing of them all going around telling war stories, and just kind of, it really bonded them all together. And so on the second movie, it was still during COVID, and we were shooting in Greece and in Belgrade, so we were like isolated in hotels together, so that very naturally kind of stuck everyone together in a way that we all kind of bonded in the trenches. This one, we then kind of had to manufacture that because we were shooting in London and we were on sound stages. So Ram and I thought, what is our basement going to be? And so we built tents off on the side of the stage with like comfy chairs in them and like snacks And it was almost like that video game, The Sims. Like we built this, and the actors and bond, and it did. All our little actor sims all gravitated towards where we built the green room, and they all talk about how much fun they had. And so creating that environment so that everyone can bond. But because these movies are ensembles, I feel like that's also part of the appeal for the actors. Everyone in this movie is used to being the star of their own movie. The fact that they're signing up for this means they're excited to be part of the ensemble and actually just hang with other actors. You know?
You mentioned him by first name, so I just want to shout out Rob Bergman, world's greatest producer.
Rob Bergman.
Yeah.
He's the reason I'm still making movies.
Yeah. We have time for one more. I'll go right down here.
Is this an imagination or is there no steady cam in this modern?
So the question is it an imagination or is there no steady cam in this movie?
So I don't usually use Steadicam. There is at least one big shot that's Steadicam, but when I use it, it's when Mila is kind of after Mila's character and Daniel go in the empty tomb, and then Glenn's yelling outside, and all the cops are there, and there's a floodlight. It's because that was such a mud field, because we shot that after we had shot the big rain sequence. There was no way we could have had any equipment, so we had to do it with Steadicam. But even when I use Steadicam, I try and design the shot as if it can be on the dolly. I don't love the feel of the floaty feel of Steadicam, and the way I storyboard things, I like to be very deliberate with the shots. So I think that might be the only example of it, but usually I like to just be on the dolly or a crane. It's a good eye.
Before we wrap up, what's the theatrical release date?
It is basically Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so please tell everyone you know if you like it. Please come out and support it at the theater. Thank you.